What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actors walks into what should be a routine morning show interview, only to find himself facing a host seemingly determined to make headlines at any cost? The tension in the Good Morning America studio was so thick you could almost cut it with a knife, and what unfolded next left everyone watching completely speechless. Before we dive into this explosive confrontation, make sure you hit that subscribe button and leave a comment below, sharing what you think really happened. Tom Hardy had arrived at the Good Morning America studios that morning, expecting the usual promotional interview. His latest film was generating Oscar buzz, and his publicist had assured him it would be a straightforward conversation about his craft and the movie's themes. What he didn't expect was to walk into what felt more like an interrogation than an interview. Michael Strahan sat across from him, his familiar television smile in place, but there was something in his eyes that suggested this wasn't going to be the pleasant chat Hardy had prepared for. "Everyone," Strahan announced to the cameras, voice carrying practiced morning show enthusiasm. "Thanks for joining us this morning." "Thanks for having me," Hardy replied, settling into the chair with his characteristic quiet intensity. He was dressed simply, dark jacket, plain shirt, and his posture was relaxed but alert. "So, let's jump right in," Strahan said, leaning forward. "Your new film deals with some heavy themes: addiction, family trauma. I have to ask, how much of this comes from personal experience?" Hardy's eyebrows rose slightly. It wasn't an unusual question for an actor, but something in Strahan's tone felt invasive, probing beyond professional curiosity. "Well, as an actor, you draw from various sources," Hardy began carefully. "Life experiences, observations, research. It's about creating something authentic for the character." "But come on, Tom," Strahan pressed, smile unwavering. "We've all heard the stories about your past. The struggles with substances. Surely this role hit close to home." The shift in the room was immediate. Hardy's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly, his eyes sharpening. "I think you're confusing personal growth with exploitation, Michael. My past is something I've been open about when it serves a purpose, not when it serves ratings." Strahan chuckled, though it sounded forced. "Hey, I'm just asking the questions our viewers want to know. You're a public figure. People are curious about what makes Tom Hardy tick." "Are they?" Hardy's voice remained level, but steel underlined it. "Or is this more about what makes Michael Strahan's interview memorable?" The tension was palpable. Every line of Hardy's body spoke restraint and readiness. His hands, once casually resting on the chair arms, were now still and purposeful. This wasn't the easy promotional interview he had expected. "Look," Strahan continued, seemingly ignoring the warning signs. "You've made a career playing tough guys, anti-heroes, characters on the edge. I'm just wondering how much of that is acting, and how much is the real Tom Hardy coming through." Hardy was silent for a moment, the studio holding its breath. When he finally spoke, his calm voice carried an unmistakable edge. "The real Tom Hardy is someone who respects the craft, someone who prepares thoroughly, takes his work seriously, and expects the same professionalism from those he works with, including interviewers." Strahan's smile flickered. "I think we're seeing that professionalism right now, aren't we? This is what good television looks like. Real conversation between real people." "Real conversation," Hardy repeated slowly, savoring the words. "Is that what you call this? Because from where I'm sitting, it feels more like you're trying to manufacture a moment that doesn't exist." The cameras rolled, capturing every micro-expression, every shift in body language. Producers behind the scenes were likely thrilled. This was unscripted television gold. But Hardy wasn't playing along. "I think our viewers appreciate honesty," Strahan said, tone becoming slightly defensive. "They want to see the person behind the performances." "Then maybe you should try asking about the performances," Hardy shot back, voice controlled but tinged with warning, about the months of preparation, the research, the collaboration with directors and fellow actors, instead of fishing for personal drama that has nothing to do with the work. Strahan leaned back, perhaps recognizing he'd pushed too far, but he doubled down. Well, when you put yourself out there as an actor, especially in roles dealing with intense subject matter, isn't it fair for people to wonder about the connection? Hardy's response was immediate, sharp. What's fair is for journalists to do their homework, to ask questions that serve the audience's understanding of the craft, not their appetite for gossip. Morning television should elevate the conversation, not drag it into the gutter. The words hung like a challenge. Strahan's practiced demeanor cracked, revealing something defensive beneath the polished exterior. "Look, Tom," Strahan said, voice losing warmth. "I've been doing this for years. I know how to conduct an interview. Maybe the problem isn't my questions. Maybe it's someone who can't handle a little scrutiny." Hardy's expression remained calm, yet his posture shifted slightly. He folded his hands deliberately. "Scrutiny?" he repeated, the word dripping with quiet disdain. "Is that what you call this fishing expedition? I call it journalism." Strahan fired back, his voice rising as composure slipped. "Real questions for real people," Hardy said, his voice steady. "Not some sanitized publicity nonsense where we pretend celebrities are above normal human curiosity." He nodded slowly, as if weighing the words. "Tell me, Michael, when you were playing football, did interviewers spend their time digging into your personal demons, or did they focus on your performance, your preparation, your contribution to the team?" The comparison landed hard. Strahan's face darkened, his carefully maintained posture stiffening. "That's completely different," he said sharply. "Football is about statistics, about measurable performance. Acting isn't." Hardy remained infuriatingly calm, which only seemed to rile Strahan further. Every choice an actor makes is measurable. Every moment on screen is the result of preparation and technique. But you're not interested in any of that, are you? Strahan leaned forward aggressively, his television smile gone. "What I'm interested in is giving our audience something real, something honest. Not some actor hiding behind intellectual superiority and fancy words." "Intellectual superiority," Hardy repeated, a faint, unsettling smile at the corner of his mouth. "That's an interesting way to describe basic professionalism and respect for one's craft." "Don't patronize me," Strahan snapped, his voice sharp enough to make crew members flinch. "I've earned my place at this desk. I've worked for everything I have. Have you?" Hardy's quiet words carried more weight than a shout. "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're trying to build your reputation by tearing someone else down." The accusation hit its mark. Strahan's face flushed, his hands gripped the edge of the desk. "You think you can lecture me about my job? You think a few movies give you the right to understand television?" "I understand respect," Hardy said evenly, each word precise. "I understand preparation. I understand the difference between asking questions that serve a purpose and asking questions that serve your ego." "My ego?" Strahan's voice cracked, revealing just how deeply Hardy's words affected him. "You're the one who can't handle a simple interview without turning it into an intellectual debate," Hardy said, tilting his head slightly, studying him with the same intensity he brought to his most complex roles. "A simple interview? Is that what you call this ambush? I came here to discuss a film, my craft, the work dozens of people pour their hearts into. Instead, I find myself dealing with someone more interested in creating controversy than understanding." "Controversy sells," Strahan admitted, his expression flickering with regret. "I mean, engaging television requires real emotion, real conflict." "There it is," Hardy said softly, disappointment threaded in his voice. Controversy sells. That's what this is really about, isn't it? Not journalism, not serving your audience, but manufacturing drama for ratings. Strahan tried to recover, media training kicking in. That's not what I meant. Our viewers connect with authentic moments, with real human interaction. Real human interaction, Hardy mused. Like attacking someone's personal history to provoke a reaction. Like trying to create an argument where none exists. That's your definition of authentic? The questions cut with surgical precision, exposing the hollowness of Strahan's justifications. And it was working. Strahan struggled visibly to maintain his composure, his carefully constructed persona crumbling under Hardy's relentless, quiet pressure. I don't have to justify my methods to you, Strahan snapped, voice tight with barely controlled anger. This is my show. This is my house. And if you don't like how things work here, maybe you shouldn't have come on. Hardy's eyebrows lifted. Your house, he repeated. How illuminating. I thought this was supposed to serve the viewers, informing and entertaining them. But apparently, it's really about serving you. Everything isn't about you, Tom. Strahan shot back, openly hostile. Some of us work in the real world, where we have to deliver results. We can't just disappear into character and ignore reality. The real world, Hardy said, steel creeping into his voice. The real world is where people create something of value, where they contribute meaningfully to culture. What exactly are you contributing here, Michael? Besides manufacturing conflict for entertainment? Strahan's face flushed with anger and embarrassment. He had completely lost control on live television in front of millions. His words poured out, raw and unfiltered. You know what? Strahan exploded. I'm tired of actors like you thinking you're better than everyone else, thinking you're artists, when really you're just playing dress-up for a living? At least I've accomplished something real, something that matters in people's daily lives. The studio fell silent. Camera operators exchanged glances. Producers whispered frantically into headsets. The audience sat in stunned silence. This wasn't morning television anymore. It was a public meltdown unfolding live. Hardy, however, remained still. Strahan's outburst seemed to have the opposite effect, amplifying Hardy's calm. Playing dress-up? Hardy repeated quietly, his voice carrying effortlessly across the now silent studio. That's an interesting perspective coming from someone whose job consists of reading from a teleprompter and asking questions written by other people, Hardy said, calm but cutting. Strahan's eyes widened. He realized too late that his earlier outburst had given Hardy all the ammunition he needed. That's not true. I don't just read. I conduct real interviews with real impact, Strahan insisted. Real impact? Hardy nodded, thoughtfully. Like this morning? Is this the kind of real impact you mean? Because, Michael, if this is your definition of conducting an interview with impact, I think you might want to reconsider both what real and impact actually mean. The words landed with a precision that felt almost physical. Strahan was visibly sweating, his carefully styled hair betraying the strain of his emotional state. You think you're so clever, Strahan said, voice shaking slightly. Sitting there with your calm little responses, acting like you're above all this. But you're not fooling anyone. You're just another actor who thinks the world owes him something. Hardy's expression remained unchanged, but a note of genuine curiosity entered his voice. The world owes me something? Fascinating. I wasn't aware I'd made any demands. I came here to discuss a film, to talk about the work of talented people who spent months creating something meant to move audiences. What exactly do you think I believe the world owes me? Strahan opened his mouth, then closed it, realizing he had cornered himself. His face flushed red with anger and embarrassment. I think, Hardy continued, voice maddeningly calm, that you're confusing me with yourself. From where I'm sitting, it seems like you believe the world owes you something. The world owes you drama, controversy, moments to generate headlines and social media buzz. The world owes you content for your show, regardless of whether it has any value beyond entertainment. That's not true, Strahan protested, though his voice lacked conviction. I provide a service. I inform people. I give them news and entertainment. Do you? Hardy asked, tilting his head. Because what service have you provided this morning? What have you informed your viewers about? What news have you delivered? What entertainment have you offered beyond the spectacle of watching you lose control of your own show? The questions hung in the air like accusations. Strahan shrank under their weight, glancing around desperately, hoping someone would rescue him. But the crew avoided eye contact. You came on my show, Strahan said weakly, grasping for authority. You agreed to be here. I did, Hardy said evenly. I came in good faith, expecting a professional conversation about work I'm proud of. Work representing the efforts of hundreds of talented people. Instead, I find myself in the middle of what can only be described as a character assassination attempt by someone who seems to have confused journalism with tabloid sensationalism. Strahan's mouth opened and closed, like a fish gasping for air. The power in the interview had completely reversed, all unfolding on live television. But here's what's really interesting, Michael, Hardy continued, voice conversational but sharp. In your desperation to manufacture controversy, you've revealed something far more compelling than anything you could have uncovered about my personal life. What's that supposed to mean? Strahan asked, though clearly reluctant. You've revealed yourself, Hardy said simply. You've shown your viewers exactly what kind of journalist you are, what your priorities are, and how much respect you have for your guests and your audience. That's far more interesting than anything you could dig up about me. The studio was silent, except for the hum of the cameras, still rolling, capturing every moment of Strahan's humiliation. You've shown them, Hardy continued, gaining momentum, that you're willing to ambush a guest who came here in good faith. You've shown them that you care more about drama than delivering information. You've shown them that when challenged, you resort to personal attacks and emotional outbursts instead of defending your journalism with facts and professionalism. Strahan slumped, looking as if he wanted to disappear into his chair. His earlier bravado was gone, replaced by the dawning realization of a terrible mistake made in front of millions. Most importantly, Hardy said, leaning forward slightly, you've shown them that when someone refuses to play your game, when someone won't be bullied into providing the drama you want, you don't have a backup plan. You don't know how to conduct a real interview. The words struck like blows. Strahan was deflated. His persona collapsed. I think, Hardy said, sitting back and checking his watch with deliberate casualness. Our time here is probably better spent if I leave. Unless, of course, you'd like to try asking me about the film I came here to discuss, though I suspect that ship may have sailed. He stood slowly, deliberate, removing his microphone. The gesture was so final, it seemed to break the spell that had gripped the studio. Tom, wait! Strahan said desperately, voice cracking. We can start over. We can talk about the film. Hardy paused, looking at him steadily. Michael, I think you've already told your audience everything they need to know about both of us. There's nothing left to say. With that, he finished removing the microphone, placed it carefully on the chair, and walked off the set with the quiet dignity he had maintained throughout. Behind him, Strahan sat stunned. Cameras kept rolling, capturing every moment of his utter defeat. A routine promotional interview had turned into a masterclass in professionalism, overcoming manufactured drama, an unforgettable lesson in integrity on live television.